Wererats stand as one of the most misunderstood and underestimated of all lycanthropes, creatures capable of shifting between human and rat forms. Unlike their more famous counterparts, the werewolves, wererats prefer to dwell in the shadows of urban environments rather than the wilds of forests and mountains. They represent a perfect adaptation of the lycanthropic curse to the environments humans have built. Thriving in sewers, abandoned buildings, and the forgotten underbellies of cities where they establish complex societies. Their cunning nature, pack mentality, and remarkable adaptability make them formidable opponents despite their less imposing stature compared to other werecreatures, and their influence often extends far beyond what their physical capabilities might suggest. Physically, wererats manifest in three distinct forms: human, hybrid, and rat. In their human form, wererats often appear unremarkable, though keen observers might notice rat-like mannerisms, such as twitching noses, darting eyes, or hunched postures. Their hybrid form represents the most terrifying aspect of their curse, standing at human height but covered in patchy fur, with elongated incisors, clawed hands, hairless tails, and the distinctive snouts and ears. In their full rat form, wererats transform into oversized rodents, typically the size of small dogs, retaining a glimmer of human intelligence in their eyes while gaining the complete physical capabilities of rats, including enhanced smell, agility, and the ability to squeeze through incredibly tight spaces. The behavior of wererats aligns closely with their rodent counterparts, emphasizing survival, opportunity, and community. They exhibit exceptional patience, willing to wait in hiding for hours or even days to achieve their objectives. Wererats rarely engage in direct confrontation, preferring ambush tactics, numerical advantage, or simply fleeing to fight another day when circumstances don't favor them. Their practical nature extends to resource acquisition, with wererats methodically collecting useful items, food, and valuables in hidden caches throughout their territories. Unlike werewolves who might revel in the thrill of the hunt or transformation, wererats view their condition pragmatically as a tool for survival and advancement. Wererat society exists as a complex hierarchy modeled loosely on rat pack structures, but enhanced by human intelligence and ambition. A dominant alpha, often referred to as the rat king or queen, leads each colony, maintaining power through cunning rather than mere physical dominance. These societies operate on strict rules of loyalty, with severe consequences for betrayal, while simultaneously allowing for considerable personal freedom in day-to-day activities. Wererats establish elaborate networks of tunnels, chambers, and secret passages where they gather to exchange information, trade goods, and strengthen community bonds. Their societies often develop intricate relationships with the human world above, with some wererats maintaining dual lives as respected merchants, information brokers, or criminals. In contrast to other werecreatures, wererats stand apart in both their approach to lycanthropy and their role in supernatural ecosystems. While werewolves embrace wildness and primal strength, and werebears might embody territorial protection and raw power, wererats represent adaptation and opportunism. They lack the physical might of larger lycanthropes, but compensate with superior numbers, intelligence, and organizational capabilities. Wererats spread their condition deliberately and strategically, viewing the transformation as recruitment rather than a curse to be inflicted in moments of rage. Unlike many other werecreatures who prefer isolation or small packs, wererats build extensive networks, sometimes establishing communications and trade between colonies in different cities. The relationship between wererats and humans proves notably different from that of other lycanthropes. Rather than hunting humans as prey or avoiding them entirely, wererats exist in parallel to human society, observing, infiltrating, and exploiting it for their benefit. They develop elaborate spy networks, blackmail schemes, and smuggling operations that take advantage of their ability to access areas humans cannot. Many wererats maintain human identities during the day, working ordinary jobs while gathering information and resources for their colonies. This parasitic yet symbiotic relationship with human civilization allows wererats to thrive in environments where other werecreatures would struggle to survive. The origins of wererats remain shrouded in mystery, with multiple conflicting legends explaining their existence. Some tales suggest they began when a powerful witch or wizard cursed thieves who stole from them, while others claim they emerged from plague-ridden cities where the boundary between humans and the rats that carried disease grew thin. Urban legends speak of sewer workers who spent so much time around rats that they gradually took on their characteristics, while occult texts describe deliberate magical rituals performed by those seeking the rat's survival capabilities. Regardless of their true origins, wererats have demonstrated remarkable staying power throughout history, adapting to changing cities and societies while maintaining their essential nature. In literature, wererats appear less frequently than their lupin counterparts, but often serve as powerful metaphors for urban decay, corruption, and the dangers lurking beneath civilized society. Early references can be found in folklore across multiple cultures, particularly in stories warning of shapeshifters who adopted rat forms to steal or commit other crimes under cover of darkness. Medieval European tales occasionally mentioned rat people living beneath cities, explaining mysterious disappearances and spreading disease. More modern literary interpretations began emerging in early 20th century weird fiction, with authors like H.P. Lovecraft alluding to rat-like cultists in tales such as The Rats in the Walls, though not explicitly naming them as wererats. Contemporary urban fantasy novels frequently incorporate wererats as either antagonists who control the criminal underworld, or as reluctant allies who provide information and access to hidden parts of cities that other characters cannot reach. Popular culture has embraced wererats across various media, though they often receive less spotlight than werewolves or vampires. Films occasionally feature wererats in supporting roles, typically as members of criminal organizations or servants to more powerful supernatural entities. Television shows exploring urban fantasy settings sometimes include wererats as part of their supernatural ecosystem, particularly in series that delve into the politics and complex social structures of mythical creatures living alongside humans. Video games have perhaps provided the most vivid depictions of wererats, with numerous titles featuring them as enemies in sewers, dungeons, and urban environments. These digital representations frequently emphasize their pack tactics, hit-and-run strategies, and ability to swarm opponents, making them challenging adversaries despite their individual weakness compared to other monster types. Role-playing games have significantly developed and popularized the wererat concept, with tabletop RPGs providing the most comprehensive treatment of these creatures. The seminal fantasy role-playing game Dungeons & Dragons introduced wererats in its early editions, establishing many of the canonical traits now associated with them, including their preference for urban environments, their organization into thieves' guilds, and their spread of lycanthropy as a recruitment tool. In such games, wererats often serve as perfect low to mid-level antagonists for urban adventures, challenging players with their cunning rather than raw power. Game masters frequently utilize wererats to create complex urban scenarios involving espionage, theft, or political manipulation, with entire campaigns sometimes revolving around uncovering and dismantling wererat networks that have infiltrated city governments or merchant guilds. The portrayal of wererats in role-playing contexts extends beyond their adversarial roles, with many games allowing players to adopt wererat characters or allies. These playable wererats typically emphasize skills like stealth, information gathering, and social manipulation, appealing to players who prefer cunning over direct confrontation. Game systems have developed intricate rules for wererat societies, detailing hierarchical structures, initiation rites, and the complex codes of conduct that govern their interactions. The psychological appeal of wererats in storytelling and gaming lies in their embodiment of urban anxiety and the fear of what lurks unseen in the places humans have built. Unlike werewolves who represent the wild breaking into civilization, wererats symbolize civilization's own corruption and decay, the inevitable consequence of crowding too many people into too small a space. They serve as perfect metaphors for the unseen forces that shape urban life: criminal organizations, political corruption, and social inequalities that fester beneath the surface of seemingly orderly cities. Their ability to move between human and rat forms represents the dual nature of urban existence itself: the visible, respectable face presented to the world, and the hidden, sometimes desperate measures taken to survive in competitive environments. Wererats represent the perfect marriage between human cunning and rodent adaptability, creating creatures uniquely suited to thrive in the shadows of civilization. Their physical transformations, behavior patterns, and social structures all reflect a practical approach to survival that has allowed them to establish lasting colonies beneath the very feet of those who would exterminate them. From ancient folklore to modern role-playing games, wererats have evolved as complex symbols of urban life's hidden dimensions, serving as antagonists, allies, and occasionally protagonists in stories exploring the shadowy underside of human settlements. While they may lack the raw power and fearsome reputation of werewolves or the noble bearing of werebears, Wererats compensate through numbers, organization, and a willingness to exploit every advantage available to them. As our collective imagination continues to explore the boundaries between humanity and animality, and between civilization and its discontents, these adaptable lycanthropes will undoubtedly continue to scurry through our stories, watching from the shadows and building their hidden empires beneath the streets and alleys of our fictional worlds.